Just waiting for her. Hi, Beth.
Hey,
I'm so glad you're here with me tonight.
well, thank you. So happy to be with you.
So, I was just saying that we have really been on a journey together. We have learned how creating good habits is huge for all areas of life. So, just to give you all a little bit of background, Betsy and I have been friends for 15 years. We've worked together this whole time. We've, we were actually, when we met, I had a baby. She was about to have a baby. So, we've parented together. We've gone through, everything in our life together pretty much. And we've really learned along the way kind of how to overcome obstacles. And the one thing we have in common is understanding habits. And we've definitely worked on our habits to improve our lives. And, I think so many times people are so afraid to go for something, for a goal, whether it's in your health or your business or even in parenting, you're afraid because it just seems so overwhelming. So you might not start at all. Well, we have about 4 different techniques that we've used that have helped us overcome challenges. And so, Betsy, would you share a little bit about your story?
Sure. So, like Renee said, we've known each other for about 15 years, and I'm formerly a high school Spanish teacher. Currently, for the last 15 years, have been running a business with Arbonne. And being an entrepreneur and being a teacher, you really, have to have some systems in place and be pretty disciplined. And I've always thought of myself as a pretty disciplined person. But just because you're disciplined, habits are a little bit different than that, because I've been disciplined before and not really liked my life because I was, just doing things out of obligation. And that's not really how I wanted to live. I wanted to enjoy my life while having great habits. And so, one thing I like to think about, one thing I've learned over the years is a lot of times we want to accomplish something in our life, and to accomplish it, we need the right habits to get there. But oftentimes we wait until, oh, well, I'm going to wait till, so for instance, like healthy living, it's like, well, the holidays are coming up, so I'm going to wait till January. Well, in the meantime, there's 2 full months. So we're like always waiting for the next thing. And as I've grown and matured and been in business for 15 years, one thing that I like to think about is in life, I used to think there were like hills and valleys, and I'll wait till I'm like not in a valley to do something. Now I kind of think of it as railroad tracks. Like there's 2 tracks, and there's going to be great stuff happening on one and kind of crummy stuff happening in another, because that is life. That is life, and there's things we can't control. And so I'm not going to wait till I'm like on a mountaintop to start something new. I'm just going to know that I'm going to have good and bad in my life, and find habits that I can do even in bad times. So, anyway, we're going to talk about some of those. Hopefully that makes sense. But I do meet a lot of people, and I saw myself this way before, that it was like, oh, oh, I'm going to wait until this. Oh, I'm going to wait until that. And, we can waste our whole life waiting. So,
Awesome. Well, Betsy, I agree with you. And I think that, it sounds really good to just wait for the perfect time. But the truth is, there's never a perfect time ever. Because the minute you think something's perfect, and actually, I don't believe in perfect anyway, but there's never the right time to do anything. And so I think if we can be more cognizant of just doing what we can control every day and consistency, that's going to be key. And we're going to talk more about that too. And just to give you guys a little bit of background on me. So I came from the corporate world, and it was very much an all or nothing environment. And I really learned that kind of ate me alive. And, I was all high and excited on one day, and then in the depths of despair the next day. And it just was a really unhealthy way for me to live. And so I ended up, jumping into my business because it was something I could control. Because that's the thing about habits, we can control them. And I have learned a lot over the last 16 years as a mom, as a business owner, in my own health, as a friend, and really just we have so many moving parts. And so I've just always I'm better than I used to be at just putting the next foot in front of the other, doing the next right thing. That's something we talk about. And before we share some of our tips, I just want to give a lot of credit to someone I respect so much, and that's James Clear, who wrote a book called Atomic Habits. It's really been a game changer for me. So if you guys haven't read his stuff, I highly recommend it. He's brilliant and has made such an impact on me and kind of the way that we've done things. And so I'm going to kind of jump into the first technique that has made such a huge difference. And I use this a lot when I coach my health clients, when I work with my team, and I'm constantly working in my own brain on this. And this is something that I got so stuck on. And I've said this before, but I'm a recovering perfectionist. And if I couldn't understand the end goal, I wouldn't even do it. I wouldn't even go for it. So instead of thinking of the end goal, I'm going to use health as an example. Instead of focusing on the weight on the scale, and you don't always even know what your weight should be, the weight on the scale, what size jeans you wear, or any of those numerical quantifying goals, I think about now, what does a healthy person do? Instead of thinking about, the end result, which is so overwhelming that some people don't even start, like Betsy said, I think about how does a healthy person approach this? I have a goal in my business. I think about what does a business person do every day? And so focusing on the qualities of the person I want to be is in my control and not so overwhelming. So that has been huge for me. That's technique number one. Bets, what's number two for you?
I love that. It's more about, your identity, who you want to become, and then your habits follow that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so my tip is you kind of have to take one thing at a time. And some of us, I'll talk to the overachievers maybe on the line. I've been there. It's like, okay, it's especially New Year's, right? Like you set a goal, a health goal, a marriage goal, a business goal. You're like, I'm going to be parent of the year. I'm going to volunteer more. And you just like have all these things you want to be, and they all take new habits. And you might be good for like 3 days, maybe a week. But you just can't take on so much. And so some great advice I've gotten from John Maxwell, actually, when you want to grow in an area, you kind of have to take one area at a time. And that doesn't mean you don't try in the other areas, but when you're building a new habit, pick one and work on that. And so, if it is nutrition or fitness or something like that, you would start a new routine, a new eating routine or a new fitness routine, maybe not completely change your diet and decide to run a marathon, but, it could be a relationship goal. If you're working, say on your marriage, spending more time with your spouse or serving your spouse in a certain way, that's a great new habit. Like every day I want to show appreciation for my husband or wife partner by doing this. But that probably doesn't mean then you can do that for all of your children and your coworkers and everyone else. So just kind of work on one thing at a time, grow in that area until it's like natural and a habit, and then you can take on the next thing. So we don't have to be super women or superman to make small incremental changes. That actually makes a bigger difference in a lifetime than a lot of the starting and stopping that we do. So,
you make a great point. You lose momentum. What do they say? An object in motion stays in motion. But if you're constantly starting and stopping and it's all in your head, that is exhausting and doomed for failure. So it's pacing yourself. I love that. Like, what a better way to pace ourselves and be able to stay the course. So I agree with that. Now, Bets, do you want to lead us into number 3? Because we both feel very strongly about this one.
Yeah, so this actually this goes with all of them, but kind of doing one thing at a time. You have to have a system for your new habit, and just deciding you're going to do something new doesn't necessarily work. You have to have a system for it. And so I, I'm going to segue into this, Renee. I'm going to be brutally honest. I've always had a terrible time flossing my teeth. I mean, everyone knows you're supposed to do it right. And then you're like, oh, maybe once a week. And then, it just never became a habit. And it was because I was trying to do it before I went to bed every night. And I try to do a million things before I go to bed every night. And I was too exhausted. And so that one wasn't important enough to me, I guess. I didn't to take off the list. But recently, and then before you go to the dentist, like the 2 weeks before, you're like flossing 3 times a day, like they can't tell. That's the starting and stopping we're talking about.
Right.
So recently I had a friend share with me that she flosses her teeth, after a certain meal. And I was like, after breakfast. And I was like, well, that's a different time of day and I have a lot more energy, like first thing in the morning. And so I started doing that, and I can be so consistent doing that because I was brushing my teeth anyway. So flossing at that time actually works completely better for me than at night when I'm exhausted. And it's not the habit that changed, it's the system that changed. I put in, it's a different time of day. And so that's been really life-changing for me, that sometimes we know the habit, but the time we're trying to do it isn't working. So that's really our third point, is you having a system for whatever goal you have. So in business, Renee and I, we enjoy doing, but certain things every day, reaching out to clients, talking to new people, doing a social media post, doing some personal growth. There's quite a few things. Without a checklist, like without something to look at every day, so many things would steal our attention and we wouldn't get those done. And so, Renee, why don't you kind of take it from there about what we do with our daily checklist?
Well, I think in anything, I think about, in your daily, just in what you want to accomplish daily, whether it's, again, your health, it could be in your parenting, in your work, in your business, in your volunteering, in anything you want to accomplish in a day. We have so much coming at us. And I think there are days that you own the day and you like it was the best day ever. But what about the days that you don't have the energy and you don't feel like doing it? A lot of people think motivation, like you have to feel it to be motivated. That's actually not true. You need to be motivated by doing it. You feel it after you do it. You don't feel it before you do it. That's not what leads you to do it. So we do something every single day that, whether we feel like it or not, we just take care of business. We do the things we're supposed to do. And that way we're consistent, and we're not always, the worst thing for me is thinking about it, of what I have to do, but not actually doing it. I'm a checklist person. I'd rather check it off my list so I can put that aside and go on with my day. So if you have things really important to you, figure out what that is and be consistent, because then you can be present in your work, present with your family, present with your friends, and present with your personal time, because you've done what you're supposed to do. So that's been huge for both of us. We are happy to share that with you guys because we love that. That's been huge. And then going on to number 4, for me, and I'm looking at my notes, I want to get this right, but I think it's celebrating small victories along the way. Betsy has talked about don't change too many things. I think we have to remember it's the long play. Like, life is the long game. And if you think about climbing a mountain, I love this analogy. It's a trajectory. And if you've ever gone mountain climbing before, I have not climbed a high mountain, but you can't go straight to the top. It doesn't go like this. Sometimes you have to take 2 steps up and then 1 back to get your footing to keep going. But if you look at that over the time, your trajectory is taking you to the top of the mountain. It's a climb. And I think that if you remember that, you're going to feel good about, I'm not there yet, but I'm way further than where I started. And if you keep focusing on moving forward, even if you take a step back, you're eventually going to get there. And that's a life thing. That's something that we can all use in all areas. Even if you're having a terrible day, maybe it wasn't as bad as it's been in the past because you have some tools to help you through that. So do you want to comment on that at all? Because I think that's real powerful.
Well, do you want to share with them your favorite song about the climb?
I am obsessed with The Climb by Miley Cyrus. I play it over and over and over and over on repeat because we are on this climb and there's always going to be another challenge that we're going to face. We're not just going to be done with it ever. So yes, I do love that.
Well, and I think that's really important. For some reason, we think life should be really easy and we shouldn't hit any obstacles. And once we read another book called The Obstacle is the Way.
Yes.
And once you figure out that actually if you're hitting obstacles, you're on the right path, that was life-changing for me. And so now it's not like when things come up, it's not like, okay, well, that's not working, I need a new habit. It's like, just find a way to do this even when stuff is kind of being thrown at you. It's the climb. It's like anything great is hard.
Right.
But we were made to do hard things. That's what I tell myself. Like working out, endurance, whatever it is, we were made to do this, and so we can. So anyway, that's part of it.
Well, to finish up, we hope these 4 things have helped you guys. If you want to talk any more about it, it's something we've lived, we continue to learn. The obstacles, the way, whatever is your biggest challenge, lean into it. Don't be afraid. You grow, and our team has this hashtag, only good things come from going into it. That's where you learn. That's where the magic happens. Betsy, I adore you. I love learning with you. And thank you to everyone who's joined us. And we hope that we've added some value to you guys tonight.